Have you ever known someone who never seems to break? Someone cuts them off in traffic and they don't react. A friend betrays them and they just smile and say, "It's okay." A coworker steals their credit in front of everyone and they let it pass like it never mattered. And people admire them. They call them calm, mature, evolved. They look at them like they've discovered some secret to life, like they've risen above anger, above pain, above everything that disturbs the rest of us. But there's a question almost nobody stops to ask. What if they're not above it? What if they're buried beneath it? Because psychology tells us something most people never realize. There isn't just one kind of person who never gets angry. There are two, and the difference between them changes everything. The first type feels anger. They don't deny it, they don't run from it, they notice it, they sit with it, they understand it, and then they choose. They choose not to let it control them. Their calm isn't fake, it's earned. It comes from doing the painful internal work, from facing emotions instead of hiding from them. But the second type learned something very different. Somewhere in their past, they learned that anger wasn't safe. Maybe it was a home where conflict felt unpredictable, where love could turn into silence without warning. Maybe it was a parent whose mood had to be carefully studied, whose reactions taught them that being quiet was the only way to stay safe. So they adapted. They became easy, agreeable, unbothered. Not because they didn't feel anger, but because they didn't feel allowed to. So the anger never disappeared, it just went underground. And the problem is the body never forgets what the mind tries to hide. Holding in emotions isn't peaceful, it's exhausting. It's tension in your chest that never fully releases. It's the tightness in your jaw you don't notice anymore. It's the quiet anxiety sitting in your stomach for no clear reason. You tell yourself you're fine, but your body tells a different story. And buried emotions don't stay buried forever. They wait, they build, they gather quietly in the background, year after year, until one day, something small happens, something meaningless. Someone takes your parking spot, someone interrupts you mid-sentence, someone chews too loudly beside you, and suddenly you explode. Not because of that moment, but because of every moment before it. Every time you swallowed your anger, every time you told yourself it didn't matter, every time you stayed silent when something inside you wanted to speak. It was never about the parking spot. It was about the years of being unheard. And here's the part most people don't realize. When you constantly hide your emotions, people can feel it. They may not know why, but something feels distant. Something feels closed. Not peaceful, not warm, just unreachable. And over time, that distance grows. You can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel completely alone, because no one can connect with a version of you that never shows what's real. But there is another way. Emotional health isn't about exploding at everything, and it's not about pretending nothing affects you. It's about honesty. It's about being able to say, even if only to yourself, that hurt me, that crossed a line, that mattered. Because the moment you acknowledge what you feel, something changes. The emotion loosens its grip. The pressure begins to release. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. You were never meant to feel nothing. Anger isn't weakness. Anger is information. It tells you when something is wrong. It tells you when something matters. It tells you when you deserve better. And ignoring it doesn't make you strong. It makes you silent. The person who never gets angry isn't always the strongest person in the room. Sometimes, they're the person who learned a long time ago that their voice didn't matter. And after years of not being heard, they stopped listening to themselves.